Special treat tonight for Lone Star Adventures, an exclusive sneak peek preview of a new museum that will open later this month. The only one in America dedicated to the history and the hardware of the video game industry. It's cutting edge stuff. We are headed north of Dallas to Frisco and the National Video Game Museum. A 100,000 video game consoles, games, and artifacts inside the Frisco Discovery Center, the National Video Game Museum, the only museum in America dedicated to the history of video games.
There is not one for this great and rich culture in the United States. There are wings of video game stuff in toy museums and in the Smithsonian. We're real happy to be the first to make a dedicated space.
Joe Santulli's favorite place here is a 1980s inspired video arcade called Pixel Dreams.
Complete with 40 classic arcade cabinets, neon lights.
Pac-Man, Galaga, Donkey Kong. Pixel Dreams is an entertainment time capsule.
That's its own entity. It's an arcade that runs very much like you've stepped out of the museum and directly into an 80s arcade.
Among the artists hired to work on the museum, Denise Klingenberg, creating an interactive wall for the popular Galaga game.
I painted that. I was actually really excited about the Galaga wall because I grew up playing that game. Anytime I went to an arcade, I went straight to the Galaga wall. Whether you grew up with it or not, it's a really cool way to show the history of games and a very interactive space.
It's much, much different than a typical museum. Everything that we're doing here has some facet of interactivity attached to it. So you'll see very little stuff behind glass. We're going to teach you a lot, but a lot of that teaching will be done hands-on.
The National Video Game Museum really grew out of a traveling museum that Joe and his partners put together in 1998. They took it to trade shows and it became very popular. They decided this stuff really needed a permanent home. The timeline of consoles has more than 50 video games, including the first home game called Odyssey 1, circa 1972.
Oh, you want to go? Is that what you're doing?
NVM has the world's largest home Pong console.
You may know the rules of Pong are avoid missing ball.
On a giant 15-foot TV replica from the 1970s.
It's this stick.
Even more nostalgic, a replica living room from 4 decades ago, with Space Invaders on the old TV. As gaming changes, as it moves away from the hardware, the National Video Game Museum seeks to endure with things you can see and touch.
You're going to be downloading all of your games in a few short years, so we wanted to make sure that we captured a snapshot of what video gaming is and was, so that every generation after us can sort of appreciate where we came from.
The opening of the National Video Game Museum in Frisco now scheduled for January 23rd, but stay up to date on that date. You can check out the story on our website. We'll find a link there. You can find dozens of Lone Star Adventures at fox4news.com. There's a tab at the top of the news page. Bookmark and visit often.